Hi, I'm Chris from Future Music. We're here at NAMM 2014. We're here with Dom from Bitwig, who's going to give us a demo of Bitwig Studio today.
Yeah, hello, I'm Dom, and we're here on the NAMM show. Happy to be here because we just announced the release date for Bitwig Studio, our first product from Bitwig, and it will be the 26th of March. So we got it here on the booth, and we got it here set up in the room, and I can give you a little overview about what we have there. So in general, it's music creation software, like we call it. So basically it's a DAW that is at the moment focused more at sound design, and it runs on 3 operating systems. It's on Windows, Mac and on Linux, and there are some nice features in there because it does sandboxing for VSTs. If a VST crash, the host doesn't crash. We have 32-bit and 64-bit support for VSTs, and we have a few nice things regarding MIDI controllers, as you can script your own functionality for MIDI controllers, and this is something that we will show a bit later because we have one of our developers here that can talk a bit about that, and we have Pete here from Livid, and he will also show the bass controller. So, Bitwig Studio, what do we have here? It's more or less a one-window approach, so you always want to have an overview of what you're doing, what your track looks like, what your devices are, and on the right hand we have a browser, on the left hand we have an inspector. Basically you work in the arrangement. You can just play it for a second. What you can see now is the arrangement is playing, the first track is selected, and you can see the device chain down there. So those are the Bitwig devices. You can also put in VSTs into the same chain, and navigating tracks is as easy like that. You can see what you're working on. As soon as you select something, it will show up in the inspector. For example, let's use the master track to put the volume down a bit. So that inspector is object-based. I can click on a track and I can change all the parameters of that track. I can click on a clip, and they have all the, let's put it up there too. They have all the parameters and the properties of the clip. You can let it loop or not. You can put in the loop. You can change the groove settings. You can apply functions like duplicate, bounce, double the content, and what is really interesting is we have little histograms that show you how you influence, for example, the velocity, like I'm doing now. I can introduce a little chaos, I can spread what I introduced there, and it's really a nice way to do little edits on parameters like velocity, gain, panorama, or whatever you like, to bring it a bit, to bring a more human feel. You don't have to edit all those little values by hand by showing those editors. You can just do it with the histograms. Really a nice way of doing it. What else do we have? It's not only a linear DAW where you can do the arrangement like in the old school days with all sequencers, but we also have a clip launcher section where you can actually jam with clips. You can drag over clips, create them, or drag over. If I can grab it. And this works like just playing a clip. Now that one would take over and override the arrangement. This means I can just try out ideas on top of the arrangement. If I think that sounds good, it's great, I can record it that way. I can also just go back to what is in the arrangement. That's a nice way of working, and the whole interface is aiming at being really quick at trying out ideas and recording on the fly what you would have as an arrangement if you would just do it by hand. Stop that for a second. What else do we have? We have a nice selection of devices. You can see them all on the right hand here on the device browsers. And we have normal effects, common stuff like you would expect, like equalizers, compressors, delays, things like that. We also have containers, which is a pretty interesting concept. You can put different devices into layers, and they're different container styles. Let me show you, for example, a little device called the Multiband FX. This device would split the audio frequencies into 2 parts, and I can put an effect in those 2 slots. This means go to the browser, take the bit crusher, put it over there, take the blur, put it over here, and then you have two chains. Just frequency split it. There are all kinds of containers. You can do a little pad style XY thingy where you can go through the corners and morph sounds for instruments. You can just add them as layers. What is missing? Yeah, you can even do a mid-side split thing that I always tend to forget, but it's also great. A lot of people that mix things know the mid-side concept, where you just get the signal not as left and right, but what is the center part and the side parts, and you can affect it with different effects. Another interesting aspect is how we incorporated bulk functions into the inspector. So if you click on a clip, you can see the notes of the clip, and I can open the velocity lane to show all the velocity values. Often you want to introduce some human feel into what you just programmed, and you would start to move those little velocity dots to give it a little feel like it was played by a real human. We came up with a little idea that looks a bit nerdy at first, but it's really useful. I can just select the clip, now I've selected notes, and I can see 50 notes are selected. If I hit now that velocity button, I can see a histogram of how the velocity values are spread. And based on that, I can now introduce chaos, and I can actually see how the histogram shows what the different values are like. If you take a look at the velocity dots in the editor, you can also see that the chaos does different things to them. I can now spread or put them up and down all at the same time, and you can always see what you are doing both in the editor and in the histogram at the same time. And this is available for velocity, for release velocity, for gain, for panorama, and it's a really useful tool to be quick on making program stuff a bit more funky and lifelike. Next really interesting feature would be something related, I would really say. So this is an LFO modulator device. You can just put it onto a track, and what this thing does, it gives you two LFOs. Those two LFOs can be mapped to whatever device you want to have. You can even map it to VSTs, and it works like that. You click on that LFO, and I thought I put it in there. I put the polysynth in there. As soon as I click on that LFO button, I can assign that LFO to all controls that change the color to blue. By click dragging it, I can now set up the amount of modulation I want to have on that parameter. I can do it in both ways, so it goes negative or positive. And this means I can add an LFO to whatever device lives in the Bitwig browser, be it a Bitwig device or a VST. We have other modulator devices, not only the LFO, we have the audio mod, which is basically an envelope follower, which means you can do things like sidechain on every plugin parameter you can think of. Really handy thing. Yeah. So there we have our device chain, and another very interesting fact is that our devices are already semi-modular. I can show that by showing our delay effect. If you take a look at the delay effect, you have a little slot over there that is called feedback FX. And what it does is, you can just grab another device, a Bitwig device or a VST, and just introduce it into the feedback loop of the delay. So now it's getting really nasty because I put a distortion plugin on it. And you can see that or you can hear with every repetition of the delay, the distortion will be introduced more and more. It's cool for dub delays if you take distortion, and it's cool if you take a pitch shifter, and every repetition of the delay we just pitch shift it again, and we have those feedback FX slots in every place where we think it's useful. So different effects, different instruments all present you that little feedback effects slot, and you can save those creations together as one preset. This shows already that all the devices in Bitwig are built using our own modular system, and it's just like connecting a box in that modular system if you want to have that little feedback insert. So that's already a glimpse of what is coming in 2.0, because then it will be open completely and you can just remix our devices and build your own ones. That will be really interesting.
Hi, I'm Peter from Libit Instruments, and we make a lot of MIDI controllers, and we've been working with Bitwig Studio for the past several months to integrate our controllers with their software. One of the nice features about Bitwig is an open API, so there's complete scripting reference and support for integrating our controllers into their software. So we have a lot of different things we can do with our sort of blank slate controllers. In this instance, I have a simple set going. So I have a track select up here that I can highlight and select my different tracks. Go up to mode 1 here and we can trigger different clips. And then we can also have some track controls like solo a track, mute a track, activate a track, and stop all the clips. We can also go to our other modes here to control things like sends and returns. So on this track I can add some reverb. I can go ahead and launch a clip here and select that track and add some other sends and returns and control the returns over here on this side. And so in our third mode here we have device control, so we can get into an instrument and really start to tweak out some of the parameters of a synthesizer, for example. And now I'm tweaking it so bad you can't even hear it. We can go to our fourth mode, which offers some sequencing, so we can go ahead to our drum kits and select different sounds. So you really have a completely integrated sequencing environment, as well as some controls for the macros. We have our macros here that map to parameters custom in sort of a customized fashion. Very similar to the way that we mapped LFOs. We can just go ahead and activate a macro and then go ahead and assign it to different parameters within the device. So when we turn that macro, you can see that there are different things being controlled in the device. So that sort of differentiates between devices and macros. One's more set up for more of a live control. So there's a huge amount of stuff you can do just with this one device in terms of creating content, remixing content, triggering different clips and stuff for live performance or just sketching stuff out when you're in the studio. So one of the things that we really like about getting our controllers into Bitwig is that it's really easy to go ahead and create your own scripts. Well, easy is sort of a relative term, but it uses JavaScript, which is sort of a lingua franca now for development. And you can set it up so that it's very easy for your controller to be detected and modify those scripts. We have, if you were just using MIDI Learn for this device, you wouldn't be able to integrate all of these modes and have all those interactivity and be able to have these different types of things you can do by pressing buttons and quickly get from track to track and be constantly involved and connected to what's happening in the software on the device. So we're really excited about that. We're really excited about the feedback we've gotten from Bitwig and integrating our stuff, and I think it's really going to be an explosive platform for that.
Right, so I've come back to join Dom again and talk about Bitwig Studio. So here's the box as well. So we have the box now.
That's the box.
Brand new, and it's out in March. Tell us a bit about the development process, because you've kind of been teasing it for a long time, and some people had given up thinking it was ever going to come out, I think.
Yeah, that's a good topic, because I wouldn't really call it teasing. It's more like it has been announced, because we had to announce it while working on it. You have to start to think about distribution and whatever, so someday you have to say that you are working on that, because people will find out anyway. Besides that, we really didn't try to tease, and we are totally thankful that it took off in the internet like crazy. That was really amazing, and the expectations are so high that we really think, wow, we really have to get it right.
And how difficult was it to sort of because with every bit of software, and especially software like this, like the sort of the music creation DAW, how easy was it to stop putting features in? Because surely you could just keep. I mean, the people on the internet as well must be going, I hope it does this, I hope it does this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did it keep evolving for long? When did you say, right, no more?
It's like you try to specify it, and you try to start implementing it all, and then you say it's feature freeze now. But while doing it, while testing it, you stumble across little things, little niggles where I think, that's now low-hanging fruit, we have to do that now. And so you do that, but you really have to take into account it takes time, you want to test it, and you don't have to overdo that.
Pricing then. We're pushing you on price. How much is it going to be?
Yes, we now announced the release date. We also have a price, so it will be $399 and €329. And yeah, that's what it would cost in March.
And I mean, let's talk about how and why you developed it the way you did. I mean, there's obviously, when it was first announced, lots of similarities to Ableton and people talking about that. How did you make sure you steered the development? Because you've obviously got to be unique. What was your plan to make sure you didn't end up making a clone of another piece of software?
It's very interesting because all the people working at Bitwig are sequencer geeks for, I don't know, decades now. We're getting old. And yeah, sure, if people take a look at it, they were thinking it looks like an Ableton clone, because you have that one window approach where you can see it, and it's also it comes with this clip launcher thingy, which also is pretty unique to Ableton. There are a few other projects that try to do it, but I think no one got it right now. On the other hand, I think if you start a new sequencer today, you can't leave that out. All the sequencers before that were alike. You have an arrangement view, and back in the days, Cubase or Logic or whatever also looked more or less alike. It is totally interesting to see, as soon as people start using it in the beta program, for example, they see what kind of thoughts we put in for workflow things, and just how it should feel. It's not a clone of Ableton Live, it's more or less a big mixture of the best things we have seen over the last 10 or 15 years of music software, and there where we thought we can improve, we came up with new ideas, and where we thought we can't improve what's out there, we thought, okay, we take those concepts, and yeah, that's how it more or less evolved internally.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.